extend group 5. Didn't go live last week. Lots going on. We've typically had a live on Insta twice a week for approximately 3-4 weeks, and didn't do it last week. Just got busy, and that does not stick with my compassion nor consistency nor content discussion. So I apologize, but I think we have some really good content coming up. Right now we're still in the COVID-19 world. We are nowhere close to, it sounds like, getting back to where we were before this. We are also still growing as a community. Voices are being heard, but one of the things that we started talking about here was the content that we're putting out and the consistency on it. And one thing that rings true to me in this whole thing when we first talk about compassion and then we talk about consistency is the giant platform and what I've been certified in for the 5 voices. And really the reason why it connected with me so much was that the saying of everyone speaks, not everyone is heard. And when I actually heard that, I'm like, I often feel like I speak in a room with individuals, and maybe there's just something that's different because when I speak, it doesn't necessarily connect, or what I say the first time isn't really what I meant. So how do I get to that? And then I started hearing things like, 82% of all of our organizational teams feel like they're misunderstood or undervalued. And I'm going, wow, that's another statistic that's quite frightening, even within my organization. That could be the case. 82% of team members feel like they're misunderstood or undervalued. How do I make that better? How do I get it to 50, and how do I get it to 40, and how do I get it to 20? So that's one of the reasons why I connect with Giants 5 Voices, and really started to think about what happened if everyone around the table actually did have a particular foundational voice, and what if every one of those individuals was heard, valued, and appreciated and celebrated. So what I know of is that there are, within the 5 Voices platform, 5 key foundational voices. Those are nurturer, guardian, connector, pioneer, and creative. And I personally am a creative pioneer. So you know what? I'm going to go creative first. I'm going to give you a little insight on what a creative is. And no, it's not, they like to paint and automatically like they're the flighty one or whatever, the artsy creative in the room. That's not necessarily, let's not put them there, so to speak. When you look at the creative as a whole, they are wonderful conceptual architects, and they love to think outside the box. It's also intriguing that they're kind of the early warning sign, early warning radar, if you will, of things that could be awry on the future, or they can see some challenges that, hey, we came up with this initial concept, but down the road we may run into this. And they can see that and they can understand that, but they can also take that and see the opportunities and be able to create strategies where you can implement that actually can improve on some of those early warning radar signs that they may be picking up. They're champions of future ideas, strategy, and organizational clarity and integrity. Organizational integrity is very, very key. They can walk into a room, and when people talk about core values and we live this and we do that, they're the first one to be able to pick up on, you know what, I was in there in this meeting, and this organization is really standing on the foundation of this, but these 3 signs immediately poked at me and said, you know what, they're not living by what they preach. So they are the champions of organizational integrity. And you know what? You have to give the creatives some breaks, because you know what? They often communicate ineffectively. They're um, so driven by being perfect that at times they'll be the last one to room and speak. So maybe you go 55 minutes in a meeting, and then all of a sudden this creative in the room goes, you know what, it's finally time for me to speak. I've listened to everyone, and I've been able to formulate my idea, and boom, here it is. And here's how we attack this. But what the crazy thing is when they do that, the first time they say it is not necessarily exactly what they meant. Um, so, if you're around a creative and you know someone that's been classified as a creative out of the five foundational voices, give them time to get to what they need to know. Ask them more clarifying questions. Now, you said this, I heard this. Is this exactly what you meant? How do pull those concepts and ideas out? They only do represent 9% of the population. You'll hear some others that represent 40 and 33 later on. They're the only foundational voice to actually have a subset. They have creative feeler and creative thinker. And just like everything, they have some positives, but they have some things that when we're in discussions and maybe they are triggered, they have weapon systems. So you'll hear about the weapon systems of all five voices here on this series as well. So the creative feeler, Hulk smash. Like, hey, I've been challenged. My values are not being upheld. And you know what? Now I am seeing this happen, and they'll let it build up, and then boom, 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 boom. Just one big emotional outburst, and you'll see the Hulk come through and smash everything. The creative thinker, there's the creative feeler and the creative thinker. Once again, the only subset, only foundational voice with two subsets, and the creative thinker has the weapon system of a sniper rifle. So all of a sudden you'll be discussing a few things, and then maybe the conversation gets a little heated in the room, and boom, all of a sudden Sophie is no longer engaged in that conversation. What just happened was the creative thinker just fired that sniper rifle, took her out of the conversation, made her feel very uncomfortable, and she's now removed herself from being engaged. So there's a lot there. We just talked about 5 foundational voices, where it came from, what made me personally want to connect with Giant and be 5 voices certified. Once again, just think about it. Teams function at 60% of their true potential. 82% of your teammates feel undervalued or misunderstood. What happens if we could get all those people aligned on a team and going in the same direction? Not 82% of beacons feeling like they're not being able to shine, but everybody being able to come together. We do have the live.theextendgroup.com URL still live. On that URL, you can actually click the 5 voices. You can go through and take the assessment. Click on the link there. It'll take you to a sign up. You get 30 days free. There's a whole bunch of stuff there. Take the assessment. So you'll click once you sign in and create your username and password, you'll be able to go to the bottom right, click assessments, 5 voices assessment. When you take it, let me know what you had. live.theextendgroup.com.